I've been experimenting with a new mineral program for our cattle, and so far, I like what I see. So we're getting an early start to go get another load of minerals for them. Hi everyone, Dr. Arland Hill here with Harvest Hills Ranch, and we just picked up our pallet of salt and going to be headed back to the ranch. In fact, we're a couple miles down the road now. Actually had a blowout on one of our trailer tires just after getting started about 5 miles away from our pickup site, so had to get that fixed, and nonetheless, that is all part of it, and we're back on the road. But I thought I'd spend a few minutes here, just a few moments really, just talking about what we've been doing and what drove the change. So if you've seen previous videos, you'll recall that we have been using a cafeteria style mineral feeder where the cows are able to self-select which minerals they want. And what we're doing now is moving over to a more of a blend. Now the cows still have access to that free choice mineral when they want it, but we're not considering that to be our foundation support anymore, our foundation for our mineral program. Instead, we're using a sea salt, and I'll talk more about that product when I get back to the ranch and why I chose that product. But the idea with this is that we're looking to have more of the availability to the animals of all of the minerals that come in sea salt. And there's some unique features about sea salt that I think make it a good foundation for a program, especially the one that we chose. Nonetheless of which is that a lot of the trace minerals that may not be available to the animals otherwise are going to be found in sea salt, so this gives them access to a broader array of minerals and also in a balance that is more in line with what their long-term needs are. So that's really what the thought process was for the foundation here. And like I said, let me get back to the ranch and I'll share with you exactly what product we're using, and I'll also show you how we're using it and what the impact on the animals has been and what their use rate on it has been as well. So talk to you shortly, guys. Let's spend a minute here talking about the salt itself that we're using that I went and picked up. This is Kansas gray sea salt is what this is. You'll see it's listed as sea fine. But this does come out of Kansas, and you may think, well, there aren't any oceans near Kansas, so what gives here? Well, this is from an ancient seabed is what this is from that dried up and left the deposits of salt. What makes that unique is that these are not salt flats that have the potential to be toxic. We're not worried about them having any issues with contaminants in the salt. And the other nice thing about this that I really like is that this is going to be an unrefined salt. That means that all of the minerals that we would naturally find in salt water that are going to benefit the animal, numerous different mechanisms in the animal's body, all those are being supported by the vast array of minerals that are in here. And this is much different than what we see a lot of times with some of the mineral blends that are out there for cattle or for other animals, because those have very limited amounts of minerals in them, where this is going to be a complete array of minerals. Now, interestingly, we don't just use this for the cattle. We've started using this same system for all of the animals here as far as those that are out grazing. In fact, our donkeys seem to enjoy using the same troughs that the cattle do, and we support them the same way rather than having a cattle mix or an equine mix. They all use the same system. But this is what we're using. And what I'll do now is let's go out to the pasture and I'll actually show you how we mix up the brine tanks and what kind of mixtures we use for the animals. So that way you can get an exact feel of how we're implementing this into our system and why we've moved over in this direction. Out in the pasture, this is what the process looks like. And it looks like we've already got an audience. So first thing we're doing here, we've got 50-gallon troughs that we're filling up, just getting some water running into the trough here. And I always keep a bucket of the salt out ready to go near the trough. And what I do is I'll normally get this trough not completely full, but pretty close, maybe around 45 gallons or so, just a little short. And what I've recognized on this, the general rule that I learned here, this is a quart jar and about 2/3 of a quart per 40 gallons. Well, what I've done and experimented with is how much salt the animals, the cattle, the donkeys, how much they will actually utilize. And what I'm doing now is going a little more than 2/3 of a quart to 40 gallons. So actually what we do now is I usually go up to almost a full quart per about 40 gallons, 45 gallons. And we just pour that in the trough, and then we can just let that sit there, dissolve, make a good brine. But a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just take the water and run it over the top of where the salt starts to pool up and let it mix up a little bit more, but over time it will mix up. Now, in general, especially when it's really hot, we find that the cattle go through maybe 3-4 of these a day. I've even seen more than that in the peak of the summer when it's extremely hot. However, when it's cooling off a little bit and not quite so hot, they'll go through maybe 2 to 3 of these a day. And then the heat seems to definitely influence this, but do feel that this helps the cattle hold their condition. So that's the process. So again, just real quick numbers on this. It's about maybe a starting point of 2/3 of a quart per 40 gallons, and then you can work up on the concentration, start to add a little more salt there with the intention of simply trying to increase the availability and intake of minerals that the cattle and other grazing animals have access to. So that's our new mineral program for the cattle. That's what we've moved into. We're keeping the things that we think are beneficial about what we were doing, but we're constantly looking and trying to find ways to enhance the nutrition for these animals, and being able to provide them with sea salt, give them that complete array of minerals, seems like the best strategy for where we're headed with these guys. So with that being said, guys, if you like the information, go ahead and like the video. And if you want to see more information about this, see how regenerative agriculture can be of benefit to you, to your health, to your family's health, and to the land that it's being operated on, hit that subscribe button, guys. We'd love to have you come join us for future videos. With that being said, I'm Dr. Arland Hill out at Harvest Hills Ranch. We'll see you soon.